Every winter cough has a pattern. It arrives with the cold air, lingers indoors, worsens at night, and just refuses to leave until spring. Long before modern humidifiers, cough syrups, and antibiotics, households had a reliable way of stopping these seasonal coughs at the source. It wasn't a pill. It wasn't a tonic. It was environmental control of indoor air combined with targeted chest warming. This method was used across Europe and North America for centuries and quietly disappeared when central heating became widespread. The irony is that central heating is often the very reason winter coughs persist today. What follows is not folklore or vague tradition. This is a practical, repeatable system rooted in how pre-industrial homes managed air, moisture, and body heat through the winter months. When applied correctly, it addresses the exact conditions that cause dry, hacking winter coughs and recurring bronchial irritation. This method works by correcting indoor air, not treating symptoms. Winter coughs are rarely caused by cold air alone. They're actually caused by dry air inhaled for hours every day. Traditional homes understood this, even if they didn't describe it in modern medical terms. Fires burned continuously. Water was always simmering. Thick fabric surrounded sleeping bodies. Moisture and warmth were deliberately preserved around the lungs. The old-school method begins by restoring humidity to the breathing environment, especially during sleep. Historically, this was done by keeping open water sources near heat. A kettle or pot sat near the hearth all day. In bedrooms, bowls of water were placed near the bed, sometimes infused with herbs like thyme or pine needles, not for aroma but for mild airway support. So, to put this into practice nowadays, the main thing is to keep your indoor humidity somewhere between 40 and 50% during the winter months. Honestly, you don't even need fancy gadgets for this. Just set out some wide bowls of water near your heat sources, like radiators or even sunny windows. It's a simple trick, but it really does the job. In your bedroom, you can place a ceramic or metal basin just a few feet away from your bed, and it'll slowly release moisture throughout the night. It's an old-fashioned method, but it still works pretty well. This helps keep your throat and those bronchial passages from drying out, which is what usually sets off those coughing fits during the night or first thing in the morning. It's a small change, but it can make a big difference. Chest warming was never optional and was treated as essential respiratory care. Traditional winter clothing inside the home was not casual. The chest and upper back were kept warm at all times. Older generations slept in flannel nightshirts, wool vests, or layered wraps, specifically to protect the lungs. This was not superstition. Cooling of the chest constricts blood flow in the bronchial area, reducing the body's ability to clear irritation. A practical modern application is simple and effective. Just wear a dedicated chest layer indoors during winter evenings and while sleeping. This can be a thin wool vest, a flannel wrap, or even a cotton undershirt covered by a heavier fabric. The key is consistency. The chest should never be exposed to cold indoor drafts or temperature swings. In particularly stubborn coughs, households once used warmed cloths placed directly over the upper chest before bed. A thick towel warmed near a heat source and wrapped around the chest for 20 minutes before sleep increases circulation and loosens congestion. Steam inhalation was controlled, purposeful, and brief. Unlike modern steam treatments that are often excessive or poorly timed, historical steam inhalation was short and targeted. It was done in the evening, never in the morning, and only for a few minutes. The purpose was to rehydrate the airway lining before the long, dry hours of sleep. A pot of hot water was placed on a stable surface. The person leaned in briefly, inhaling through the nose and mouth, then stopped. No towels over the head, no prolonged exposure. This prevented irritation while delivering moisture directly where it was needed. Today, this can be applied using a bowl of hot water placed on a table. Lean in for 2 or 3 minutes, breathing normally, then stop. So you want to follow this immediately by chest warming and then going to bed in a humidified room. This sequence really does matter. If you do steam inhalation without restoring room humidity or chest warmth, well, it's just not going to solve the problem. Nighttime positioning, it actually mattered more than folks realize. Traditional beds, they just weren't flat. Pillows were stacked up to elevate the upper torso just a bit. This reduced postnasal drip and, prevented mucus from pooling in the throat overnight. Winter coughs often get worse at night because, well, modern flat sleeping positions allow irritation to collect in the airway. A simple thing you can do today is to raise the head and upper chest just a bit, using firm pillows or maybe a wedge. The goal is not sitting upright, but maintaining a gentle incline that keeps the airway clear. Combined with humid air and chest warmth, this positioning alone can reduce nighttime coughing dramatically within days. Indoor air circulation was slow, deliberate, and controlled. Older homes did not blast hot air through vents. Back then, heat rose slowly from fires, stoves, or radiators. The air moved gently, and, well, that helped preserve moisture in the home. But with modern forced air heating, the air dries out real fast, and honestly, it pushes dust and irritants directly into your lungs. Even if you can't change your heating system, you can still slow airflow in sleeping areas, and that can make a pretty big difference.
So at night, you'll want to close your bedroom vents partially, and it's important to keep the doors closed because that'll help maintain a stable microclimate. Also, you should avoid using fans during those winter evenings.
The main objective here is to keep the air around your body calm, warm, and, well, moist. Consistency over several weeks was always emphasized, This method was never described as a quick fix. It was more of a seasonal practice. Once winter began, these measures stayed in place until spring. Folks understood that prevention mattered more than reaction. When applied consistently, most people noticed reduced coughing within about 1 week and, well, full resolution within 3 to 4 weeks. The cough did not return unless, the environment went back to being dry and drafty. So this approach, well, it requires no medication, no dependence on supply chains, and no specialized equipment. It relies on environmental control and bodily awareness. Those are principles that are just central to historical survival strategies. In long winters during fuel shortages or when you're in off-grid situations, this knowledge really remains invaluable. Understanding how earlier generations protected their lungs through harsh winters, well, it gives us tools that still work today. This isn't about nostalgia. It's applied historical intelligence. If this guide added something useful to your understanding of seasonal health through historical practice, go ahead and subscribe to Living Through the Seasons, share this with others who value practical history, and keep these methods alive by actually using them. The knowledge only matters if it's applied.